ahead and bring a jalapeno for it. Usually in classes I don't jalapeno up things very much. Some people like spicy, some people don't. So I try and avoid it if at all possible. What's going to happen to those little heady things that I have? A black one and there they are. Thank you. Tomatillas. When you buy tomatillas at the store, they should look similar to this. It's a little husky tomato from south of the border originally. Probably still come from there, I suspect. Usually when you buy these, you want them to be nice and uniform, nice uniform color. You'll take these husks. They pretty much fall right off usually. Of course, never when you want it to, but when you get it peeled off, this is what's in salsa verde. If you ever have salsa verde somewhere, it came from tomatillas. That's the green part of it. So when you peel off the peeling, and you wash it off, you really want to use gloves whenever you're doing this because these do tend to get kind of sticky. So you just rinse it off a little. After you've done that, you have this, which is a little, looks like a green tomato. The consistency and the flavor of these are different than green tomatoes. So you're going to say, can I use green tomatoes in this recipe? Right? Isn't that what you're going to say?
Yeah. Are you going to?
No, not really. I'm glad you asked that question. No, you really can't because the consistency is not right. These are denser than a green tomato. When you cut into one of these, don't cut towards your palm, kids at home. It looks like this. They're very dense on the inside. They got lots of tiny little seeds, but they're different than our tomatoes, which have pockets of seeds. Your regular beefsteak tomato, all those have little pockets of seeds. What you want to do is peel those off, drop them into boiling water. When you do that, you don't reach into the boiling water with your hands. You have this. They change color slightly. They get nice and soft.
How long do you leave them in?
Pardon?
How long?
These right here, when they're about 5 minutes, and they've been sitting in the hot water for longer. Usually it takes 5 to 10 minutes. They sit in the water and they get a little softer than they normally would. So you have these. They look like this. If you can, you kind of want to cut the stems out of these. Sometimes it's not easy. Once they get really soft, it's hard to cut the stems out of them. You don't have to worry about it. This is best made in a food processor. My food processor and I had a little disagreement. So it's technically on the injured reserve list right now. It won't be showing up anytime soon. You're going to put your tomatillas in the blender or in your food processor. But again, if you can cut these out and do it, they get pretty soft when they're cooking, so it's not any real big deal. You can kind of just go around those. If you'll let this cool, it certainly makes this stage of it a lot easier. When you get those out, set that in there. Okay, you have avocados. For this recipe, I wouldn't take all that time that I would to slice those up. All I want to do is get this into there. So I'll take this, I'll twist it. I'll use my knife to get the seed out of it. If the seed will come out of it. There we go. I'll just make a little cut through the center of this, and then I'll, typically, if these were really good, these peels would come right off, kind of like so. And I'll drop these right down in there with it. Now what I'm going to add to this, I would have to add some kind of liquid to this, or else, especially in a blender. That's why this is a little bit better done in a food processor. Usually a food processor doesn't require nearly the liquid that a blender does. A blender, it takes a certain amount of liquid to make anything blend, where a food processor pretty much puree about anything you want. So what I'm going to use to make this awesomely fantastic is chicken broth. Why would I use chicken broth? Because I'm going to get more flavor out of it than I would if I just added water. Chicken broth is also fantastic for your, where's the other side of it? For your mashed potatoes, pasta, anything. Use chicken broth in place of water. You're just going to get that much more flavor out of it. Now again, Jessica did remind me that I am running a little over. I know the class was till 4 o'clock. I hope you can stay with me. We're moving along here now. So we're going to put this in there. What I would like to do to this, or what I would do to this, is add some cilantro to it. Again, I would just pull out some sprigs here, break off the stems as much as I possibly can. Rinse it. Sometimes your herbs and your lettuces and all that comes saying pre-washed. If you trust that, it's good. Do it. I typically like to wash my things again. Maybe that's just me. I'm just going to chop this up because guess what? It's going in a blender. Doesn't matter if I spend 10 minutes chopping it. I will put some garlic in. It says garlic powder. Chicken broth. I gotta add some liquid to this to get this to blend up anyway. Now this is gonna be pretty warm because those tomatillas are still hot. No, I did not think about turning that on without putting this lid on, if you're wondering. So this is going to grind up. And I want this to be smooth if at all possible. Again, a food processor does that better. A food processor will smooth this out where this is going to be more like a smoothie. Okay, stop. It helps if you talk to it like that. If you tell it to stop while you're pushing stop, usually that makes a big difference. Half the bowl there. So wonderful. That unscrewed that. This is a wonderful recipe for that nice cold soup that you would have. So what I'm going to do here real quick. Now you notice when I poured that out, for my taste, again I won't be at your house when you're doing it, but for my taste that's a little too thin for me. So what I'm going to do is use a little bit more of my main ingredients and a little less broth here. That one's got a little stem attached to it. Ow. I'll put that in. I'll add a little bit more of this. Avocado. I'm going to go with a little bit more garlic. A little bit more of the cilantro. I don't even have to chop it because I'm putting it in there. Now this time I'll just add a little bit. It probably says cumin on there somewhere, I'm guessing, because I know myself. Going a little too slow for me. So when you get this and you put the lid on like so, it's going to be a hair thicker than that was. There's less avocado in this, so you'll notice it's not quite as green. It'll mix up just like it should. That's a little, all of it's a little bit pretty green. Okay, so you got that. What I would do with this, of course, first thing I would do, yeah, I had that in the tomatillas, so I would stir this up a little. First thing I would do, now notice this has no salt and pepper in it. So the first thing that's going to hit me when I try this is, oh, it's not salty or peppery enough. You need salt and pepper. Pepper. This is a mixture of peppers. This is a, I shouldn't say brand names, this is a Fat Freddy's. It's got several different peppers in it. Just gives it a little bit more flavor than regular pepper. My salt, I'm going to come back with some red.
And again, since we're not mentioning brand names, can you get that at Kroger?
This is Bella Mesa, and it's at Kroger.
No, your pepper mix.
Oh yeah, yeah, Fat Freddy's. And last, but certainly not least, I want this to be a little smoother. So at the very end, I'm going to come back with a little heavy cream, which fits perfectly into our fit menu. And I'm just going to add a little creaminess to this at the end. When I get a spoon. Now, if you really want to decorate and design and make your food look really good, this is where you can do it in this stage. You can put this in bowls and you can come back with your cream and you can put little swirls in it. I'm not the most decorative guy in the world, so I just kind of dump it in. You can really make this look good with this. Give this just a little stir. Look at that. Clean spoon. One last to make sure. It's wonderful. Let that cool. Serve that as your soup.